Hello everyone, welcome back to Stream of Consciousness. I'm Adam Schmuter, your host. There's a rich history over the centuries of governments and militaries conducting surveillance on each other to better understand each other's plans, intentions, and capabilities. You don't have to look very far these days to find a report about another firm, many very well known in name, whose networks have been penetrated by cyber attack. The scope of this effort has become more sophisticated, creative, and as a consequence, all the more dangerous. The wild nature of these crimes are stunning. What is currently happening to the United States and around the world? With us is Dr. Fable, the founder and director of Your Eyes Digital Forensic Program. He has over 100 published articles in leading journals and has received over $10 million in research funding from agencies such as the National Institute of Justice, the National Science Foundation, and the Department of Homeland Security. He has been a professor at the University of Rhode Island for 16 years. Special guest, U.S. Congressman James Langevin, who serves on the House Committee on Armed Services, where he is a ranking member of Intelligence, Emerging Threats and Capabilities, Sea Power and Projection Forces. Ed Lamagna, a professor of computer science for 36 years. In this day and age, there's also a threat of anonymous activity and activism. And there's been cases where sensitive information has been widely leaked to the public. How do we manage this when these activists may have hidden agendas on top of being anonymous?
Well, that's the anonymity on the internet is certainly a problem. Attribution is difficult. That's one of the dangers in cyberspace. When you talk about the damage that could be caused from catastrophic attack using kinetic weapons, basically it's probably going to have a return address or forensics, so it's going to be easier to identify who did it, where they did it, who they're from, where they're from, and so appropriate response, retaliation is always an option, and where the attack potentially came from. It's less likely that you may know where the attack came from in cyberspace because attribution is such a hard thing to prove. For example, the attack may look like it comes from China, but was it the Chinese nation state that ordered it, or was it just an individual hacker? And you may not know. You may have a state using a proxy to do it, and by the way, it may not be just in that particular country that actually launched the attack, or the individual. They could do it, making it look like they were somewhere else, or in fact are somewhere else.
They might very well be able to do that. I guess hacking is a little bit of an art, and there are various reasons why people hack, okay? There are some people who just do it sort of for the fun of it. It's like it's a hobby for them. There are other people who are trying to make some money.
Taking it back, let's go back to 1995 with the film Hackers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to read an excerpt from one of the main characters in that film.
Okay.
This is our world now. The world of the electron and the switch. The beauty of the bode. We exist without nationality, skin color, or religious bias. You wage wars, murder, cheat, lie to us, and try to make us believe it's for our own good. Yet we're the criminals. Yes, I am a criminal. My crime is that of curiosity. On another note, I personally think of Aristotle, who says that the pursuit of knowledge in itself is pleasurable. In that sense, it seems that hackers may hack for fun, and some may hack for a political agenda. Which do you believe is more dangerous?
It all depends. I mean, if you're hacking for a political agenda, and your political agenda is dangerous to people who have a different agenda, then I would say they would consider that to be more dangerous. It also depends on what the fun is. If their idea of fun is something that's just a little bit disruptive, then there's probably not a lot of danger. It's more of an annoyance. But if their idea of fun, and you have to understand that a lot of the original hackers, and it's still pretty much prevalent in the hacker community, although there's all different kinds, But a lot of the original ones were somewhat antisocial. They were striking out against things that were considered to be conventional. So, oftentimes there would be a feeling of accomplishment by how much disruption you could do, just for fun. So their fun would come from disruption. For instance, if you're a hacker and you write a virus, your credentials among your friends could be how many people have you infected, and that's fun. But it's a dangerous kind of fun because
the hackers may do it for fun, or they may do it to, whether it's an individual criminal or a criminal enterprise that steals your personal information, credit card information for criminal intent. In other areas, it may be for the purpose of cyber espionage, and they steal intellectual property. Particularly, China has been particularly offensive in this area, and that they've hacked into countless U.S. companies, some major, some small, and have stolen a great deal of intellectual property to the tune of billions upon billions of dollars.
Because it's dangerous to society as a whole. So I think it depends on the political agenda. That certainly, if you're on the other side of the politics, then hacktivism, which is hacking for political gain, it could be dangerous to that side. It could be advantageous to the side that who's trying to make the point. And the fun all depends on the degree.
There's a recent report from the International Business Times that American enemies and terrorist groups, mainly ISIS, are using social media to recruit and disseminate propaganda. And the report actually says that ISIS is uploading images and tweets at a rate of 90 posts per minute. Now, the United States has a team in the State Department who they respond directly, in some cases, to their tweets, and even in a mocking way, exploiting Twitter to take on ISIS. Is that something that we've never seen before?
Most wars, propaganda is a big part of war. During World War II, they would fly over and drop pamphlets down that would spread some kind of propaganda to get the hearts and souls of the people that you're either fighting or trying to capture or trying to get on your side. So propaganda, I think, has been an important part of warfare probably forever. And this is the new form of propaganda. So instead of leaflets being dropped, out of bombers over Germany, it's tweets and combative stuff on Facebook pages. So I suspect that if military history has said that propaganda is an important part of warfare, I suspect that if this is the new form of propaganda, it will have some effectiveness.
What kinds of attack is the individual most likely to be affected by?
Individuals are more going to be vulnerable to people who are just maybe kids doing malicious hacking just to show that they can do it. I think that they have to watch out for scams that could result in theft of identity, credit card numbers, things of that nature, passwords.
This hyper-connected society where we're all on the same internet and things are connected together, we're really only as strong as our weakest link. And so our weakest link could be a janitor who brings their cell phone into a highly secured company and that phone has been infected and gets them in. All the things that are important to secure your own personal self are actually part of the need to secure everything, because we're all interconnected and we're really only as strong as our weakest link.
What have we learned as a country from the Snowden experience, not only in what he revealed, but what it said about our security?
We are seeing more and more instances of where exposure is kind of taking over privacy. Snowden's incident is the most common one.
These are public issues. These are not my issues. These are everybody's issues. And I'm not afraid of you. You're not going to bully me into silence like you've done to everybody else. And if nobody else is going to do it, I will.
If he was a conscientious objector, if he really had concerns that the law was being broken, he had a number of things that he could have done. He could have exercised whistleblower protections. He could have gone to the Inspector General. He did none of those things, and instead he stole the information. Much of it, by the way, had nothing to do with surveillance. And he didn't present it in a public way and then face a U.S. jury to make the case that something illegal was going on.
Both, there were positive influences to that, and there were negative influences to that. Another aspect might be more personal. There's a perception that the current generation, younger generations in particular, expose themselves more, their kind of personal who they are, more online than certainly my generation.
After all the investigations that have taken place, there was nothing that showed that the NSA was operating outside the confines of the law. It definitely did damage to perception, and certain people are very willing to believe the perception, but that's not the reality.
It's a little bit scary and disconcerting that that information is being saved somewhere and that somebody or some entity has access to it. You mentioned about anonymous search. You can say, well, is there a way to do a search without being tracked? Another search engine out there that's gotten a lot of attention recently called DuckDuckGo. And just about nobody's ever heard of DuckDuckGo until somebody's interested in privacy mentions it. And they don't do any tracking at all. So it's not quite as good in the search results as it gives as Google. But it's a decent engine, and I've tried to wean myself off of Google the last few months, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results I'm getting from DuckDuckGo.
So what are the challenges and what can be done to maintain a balance of security and privacy? You just went in detail about some of that.
Yep.
Do you see that as being sufficient, or do you see progress could be made?
Protecting privacy and civil liberties is one of the most responsibilities that I have, I believe, as a member of Congress, that any member of Congress has. And we never stop trying to protect privacy and civil liberties. It has to be a balance, has to be an ongoing effort. That means congressional oversight, means oversight by the courts, means inspector generals making sure that privacy and civil liberties are protected, and that every agency that has capabilities are operating within the confines of the law.
We're all used to convenience. So a very trivial example is you click Save My Password, so you don't have to type your password in every time. You've chosen convenience, but now your password is stored somewhere where they can get it. That's basically it boils down to. So it's really almost a personal choice or a societal choice as to where we go with this.
I'm sure that these challenges will be solved. Thank you so much for coming in to discuss these vibrant topics. Also to our viewers at the University of Rhode Island and in the community for tuning in. This is Stream of Consciousness. My name is Adam Schmuter, and I'll see you next time.